Hello, everyone. Welcome to my show. Autumn is here. I'm your host, Francine Crawford. I'm here with Marilyn Raichle, and she's been a caregiver and has an interesting family tie to dementia. And she wants to share her story. So please welcome her to the show. Welcome to the show, Marilyn.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here.
How are you today?
I am fine. I'm in Seattle, so it's still early here.
Oh, okay. Good. Well, I was, as you know, my show is about getting people more involved with their parents, their aging parents, and being able to share information with them that they may not know, or to help them prepare for better quality of life, dealing with different diseases like Alzheimer's and knowing what to expect. I started my journey because my mom had Alzheimer's and I knew nothing, and I wasn't familiar with it at all. So, I guess it's a little bit different for you because you seem to have had few people in your family with Alzheimer's or dementia disease. So please tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Sure. About myself. So I am currently the director of Maude's Awards for Innovation in Alzheimer's Care. And we give away cash awards every year, $100,000 for innovation in Alzheimer's care. And this is really for home caregivers and caregivers who are looking for answers about how to enrich the lives of their loved ones,
Okay.
which is a wonderful thing. I am very, very, very lucky to be doing this job.
How long has Maude Awards been around?
We started in 1919, and
Oh,
this was started with our founder, Richard Ferry, whose wife developed dementia in 2013. And he, like you, like so many, hadn't the faintest idea what to do.
mm, right.
So he thought, I've looked, I've searched. So maybe if I invite everybody in the United States to share their ideas, we'll find something wonderful.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So through that, you give awards to individuals or you give it to organizations?
Individuals, organizations, for profit, nonprofit, anybody can apply. We just opened applications on Monday. And if you're interested in learning more, you can go to our website at Maude's Awards. That's MAUDES, maudesawards.org. And you can find out more. And it's a wonderful thing.
This is great to encourage people to do this. So I just want to talk a little bit about your journey. Like, how did you get involved with Alzheimer's and your journey about your family?
Well, and I have to sort of start by saying I was actually worse. You didn't know anything. We grew up in a family that didn't want to know anything. So that everybody, all my fathers, he had seven, he came from a family of seven. All his older brothers and sisters developed dementia around the age of 80. Um, and then there were fewer in mothers, but they developed back in the old days when they called it senile dementia. And we were raised, my mother told us, she said, when we get Alzheimer's, I want you to walk away. I want you to realize we're not going to remember you. We won't be able to recognize you. So walk away and live your lives. And we all basically believed it, that life with dementia was best left ignored. So it wasn't that I didn't know anything. I didn't want to know anything. So that's worse than not knowing what to do. And so at the age of 80, my dad developed dementia, and he also had Parkinson's. So he got a sort of double whammy of dementia in that respect. And then at the age of 80, mom started to develop signs of dementia, and we did not expect this with mother. And again, those words, walk away, was sort of like, okay. And so when I became the family caregiver because I graduated graduate school at the time of the recession, and there were no jobs and I had no options. So my family basically said, okay, you're going to be the family caregiver. You're going to take care of mom and dad. I said, okay. So again, I didn't know anything. And when I looked at mother and dad, I wasn't seeing the person. I only heard confusion. And I wasn't hearing the thought. I wasn't again, only confusion. But I was there. That was my job. So I did the best I could, which was not with a full heart.
Mm.
And when Dad died, and they had been together, they had been best friends for 82 years. And Mother was really devastated, but also really bored. So I took her to a painting class, and we didn't expect anything, and she didn't expect anything. And she painted the most amazing things. They were really beautiful paintings, are always interesting. And I was so fascinated by the art, I kept going back more often and more often and more often. And I realized very quickly that, oh, I see. She's there. There's a person there. She's not living in the fog. This is a creative, interesting person who is living the best life she can. And so I learned, for me, the first lesson of a caregiver, which was I let go of the woman who used to be, and I
Mm.
embraced the woman who was with me now in the moment. And it was absolutely fascinating. It confounded everything I thought I knew or didn't want to know about Alzheimer's. And it it became this journey that I did with Mom, that
Mm.
together, in fact, there was a moment, because I was her caregiver for a long time, which meant I was just giving care to her. But there was one moment when her paintings to me started to deteriorate. And by this time, I'd made a sort of profession out of her art. I did art shows, and I was doing all sorts of things. And her art started to deteriorate. So I went there early, and I spent the whole morning with her, and we did all the things she loved to do. And then when we get to the art class, she painted, and lo and behold, her painting completely changed. Warm animal images, all sorts of wonderful things started to be there. And I realized, oh, I see. We're partners. We're in this together. I have a role to play in this. And that was the beginning of my time with Mom, where we were working together. I saw her as, you are my partner. I am your partner. And it changed how I related to Mother. And for the next 9 years, I was Mom's partner. And she lived till she was 96. And it was the most rewarding thing I have ever done in my life.
Okay.
I am so lucky I got to do that with Mother. And in
Wow.
fact, I'm not even, this isn't hyperbole. She taught me how to live. My
Mm.
time with Mom completely changed how I approached life. And she lived in an assisted living facility that was really good. One of
Uh-huh.
the small percentage of Americans who have enough money to live in a place like that.
Mhm.
And so I had all these adopted mothers. Um, so I realized at another point, this was a constant series of realizations that I thought, well, of course she looks forward to my visits. Of course, I'm her daughter. And then I realized, oh, actually, I play only a small part in her life. Far
Mhm.
more important to her are the people, her new family that she lives with in assisted living. And fortunately for me, this new family was willing to accept me as part of their family. So I joined their family, and I had all these wonderful people I spent time with, and it became not just something I had to do, it was something I needed to do. It was something I wanted to do. Um, it was this constant journey of discovery and laughter and lessons learned. It was just astonishing.
Wow, that's so interesting. This is the first time I'm hearing a story like this one that it was so many people that in your family that people were aware of dementia, Alzheimer's, and knew that they expected it. So often we don't expect it. It just happens, and and you kind of turned it around into something that was just more positive, and you realize that she's not the person, she's there, but she's just not the same person that you grew up with or that you knew. So you had to adjust to that. And it was there any time where it was like very hard to do that, very hard to see her like that? Because sometimes in Alzheimer's, sometimes they're in and they're out. They're not always
Mhm.
all the way, not themselves. Sometimes they're part of themselves. They remember certain things, and then sometimes they don't. So was that a difficult period of time for you?
Well, it wasn't really, and that's what was so odd about it because I was enjoying her so much, and I was enjoying my time with her so much that I realized that I'm just going to meet her where she is, and I am going to be present, and I am going to listen to her, and I'm going to hear her. And there was one moment, I mean, this was something that I learned over the process of a lot of years, but there was one question she asked over and over and over and over again, which is, what is Seattle going to be like in 50 years? And sometimes she would say 200 years. Um, and for the first couple of years, I would make up, oh, it could be like this, it could be like this. And then one time, finally, I realized that if she's asking me this question over and over and over again, obviously it means something to her.
Mhm.
So I asked her what she thought Seattle would be like in 50 years. Oh my goodness, all sorts of amazing ideas started to erupt. She said, oh, maybe we will all fly. She said, maybe there'll be water everywhere. And then together we would envision water lapping at the feet of a building where she lived. And I thought, this was a big lesson for me. It was like, ask her questions, ask
Mhm.
her questions. She's there. She's there. Not the same, but she's there. So it was this, it didn't come right away, but it was this, and it came from the fact that I was with her so often, that I cared about her, that I was listening to her, and that I wanted that to, I realized the two of us together were navigating this life.
Mhm.
And so it, it was just this constant, I mean, till the day she died at 96, she was still asking questions and expressing curiosity about the future. She would said to me one point at 96, she said she was wanting to know what Seattle would be like in 2 years. She wanted to stick around for it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it was just, and now mother was admittedly an adorable and incredibly positive and funny person. But then all of the people that they lived with in this facility, which was really good,
Mhm.
were living, I think, their best lives. And I think it's because they lived in a really good, nurturing facility.
Okay.
And my goal is to help people realize that people living with dementia are valuable human beings, that they are deserving of everything we can do and all of the support we can give them to live with joy and to thrive and to live with happiness. That not everybody has that. And so, one reason Maude's Awards is so important to me is that for so many of the people who are so eager for what can I do? What can I do to improve and support my loved one and also to support my life as a care partner? And it's people really want to know, and we as a society should be supporting them.
True.
It's another thing that,
Absolutely.
yeah. So in fact, it was really interesting. Mother was funny when you least expect it. So we played Scrabble every day, even though she didn't remember how to make words. It didn't matter. We played Scrabble. And sometimes we would add up just the scores on the tiles. And once, and this was probably when she was 95, we were playing Scrabble, and she looked at me. She was having a hard time with words. She looked at me and she said, sometimes your brain just gets in the way. And then she made crown on the triple. And it was like, and so now when I'm having a hard time figuring something else, I'll stop and I'll go, sometimes your brain just gets in the way. And I'll stop for a moment and then sometimes the answer will come to me. So there's this constant of every day I do something and I go, thanks, mom. Thanks, mom.
Oh,
Um, Now, my father, on the other hand, was not a happy person. And he also was dealing with dementia. Um, and yet I realized that there were so many things I could have done. This is, if I knew then what I know now, so many things I could have done to make his life happier. Um, I could have just been with him and realized that he wasn't going to be abandoned. I could have given him a shoulder massage, which he loved. I could have brought him his favorite food. I could have shown him photographs of everything he did for us and with us to make our lives wonderful. I mean, simple things. But I wasn't relating to him as a person worthy of my respect somehow because he had dementia.
mm,
So, and I still encounter people who knew mother who would say, oh, well, if someone dies, it's just as well they had dementia.
mm.
And I want to sort of scream and throttle them. And then I want to go, don't you remember mom? she was worth it. Everyone's worth it. And I want people to realize that people living with dementia are valuable human beings.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. And
yeah.
so it's just mother was astonishingly wonderful. But every person, the best compliment I have ever received in my entire life came from one of the mom's neighbors in assisted living. And because every day I got there, I would give people shoulder massages. I would always ask permission, but I
Mhm.
would always give people shoulder massages. And one day, one person always say, oh, you have such happy hands. And another person, then Gloria said to me, she said, do you tuck your wings in a handkerchief when you're not here?
Wow.
Which is just, oh, that was just so wonderful. But then every day was like that because I was loving them
Mhm.
and they knew I loved them and I was expressing that love and I wasn't afraid. I wasn't, like, oh, I wish you didn't have dementia. I mean, because I left that a long time ago. It was sort of like, I'm meeting you where you are.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I know that's a lesson to learn though. It takes a while to get to that, and some people don't even know that. So I'm glad you're sharing your story because there's different approaches, and some may be better. And a lot of times people look at people with dementia um, as a patient as
Yeah.
opposed to a person.
Hmm.
So and some people can't deal with the change. So it's a lot that you have to deal with yourself also, accepting that person as they are, where they are. That's such an interesting story. What would you say now to tell other people to prepare for this, or just give them some information that may help them if they have to deal with their parent with dementia?
Number one, I think one of the most important things to do is that it is so easy to see your parent, your mother, your father, through a lens of loss and sadness,
Mm,
and find something that you can enjoy together. And you will see the happiness there. And it
mm,
will change how you see them. It will open up a different horizon for you. Um, Listen to them. Smile. That's always a good one. Smile. Listen to them. Meet them where they are. Um, and you will find something that makes you happy. And if you can find that happiness that you can share, it changes completely how you see them.
mm,
I once was talking to a man who was telling me about his wife that he was visiting in a nursing home. And he said, when I see her, she knows who I am and she tells me she loves me and she kisses me. And
mm,
when I look in her eyes, there's nothing there. And I thought to myself, why is it that I most likely would have seen what he didn't see, which is a woman with something to say? And again, I think it's because all he saw was sadness and loss.
Mhm.
And if he had had the chance to share something with her that made them both happy, would have changed how he saw her.
Mhm.
Um, and that it was the painting for me. I mean, that completely changed how I experienced Mom. And if it hadn't been for the painting, I don't know if I would have found it
Oh,
because I wasn't looking for it. Because, of course, I came from this bizarro family that didn't want to deal with it and was supposed to walk away. Um, but the art was there, and the art opened my eyes
mm,
to something that was there that I hadn't realized was there. So that's one reason that if you're a home caregiver, if you can find a senior center that is having some kind of activity, if there are programs you can take them to, that you will find that you will see it, and once you see it, it changes things. I guarantee it.
awesome, awesome. Well, that's great. It's very interesting. Your story is very interesting, but also about the Maude Awards. It's very good that this is taking place. And you said that we can go right to your website and
Yeah. And yeah, go right to the website. It'll tell you how to apply. And also, this is not a grant. This is an award for something that you've done,
oh,
something you have done that makes the life better for you or for your loved one. And they come in these four categories. And literally, it's easy. We just want to know, what have you done that have made the life for people living with dementia better, or the life of a care partner better, or that has cultivated better health. And then there's another one that is sort of near and dear to the heart of our founder, which is treating by design. So that if you have found a way to create a better environment for someone, whether it's with music, or whether it's with finding a better way to help them put on clothes, all sorts of things like that. So it's really, we're open to anything that makes life better. And then Richard, my dear founder of Maude's Words, Richard Ferry, in honor of his beloved wife, Maude, who passed away last year, makes these awards. And then the book is available free. Again, you can order it on our website, or you can download it if you're looking for things to do. And so it's our goal to make people's lives better.
awesome. That's great. That's great. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on Autumn is Here and sharing your story. And I'm sure it'll help somebody else just to look at dementia a different way and to look at their loved one a different way and give them patience. Because, like you said, I think you said your mom, it was like 9 years that you had to deal with this. And, it's a long time to be able to look at them and just be sad about them. We have to think of other things to do that will help them. So this is awesome that you've shared the story with us, and just to kind of look at our loved one in a different way, and maybe we can help them have a better quality of life, even if they are in not living with us or in an institution or something like that. We still have ways that we can share and make their life better. So I thank you so much for sharing your
Oh,
story
well, thank you.
and taking the time. All right. Thank
Thanks.
you, Marilyn. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.